surprises. I know my man DJ loves doing mock drafts. I'm trying to one-up him with this version, though.
Oh. Yeah, it's not Maurice Jones-Drew crazy in terms of like the surprises in this draft, but my eyes did bug out a couple times, so I'm anxious to dig into this thing.
And I bet they will as we unveil the first 8 picks of Bucky Brooks' mock draft. Let's get right to it. No surprise, no shocker here. The Cincinnati Bengals go with Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU, at number 1. Bit of a surprise, though, as to who the number 2 quarterback off the board is. It's Justin Herbert from Oregon going to the Dolphins at 5 and not Tua Tagovailoa. More on Tua coming up. Also want to dig in here on the number 2 overall pick because, Bucky, after some talk about it, the Redskins in your mock opt not to go for a Cardinals of 2019 and double down on the quarterback. They take your number 1 prospect in Chase Young. Why was he the fit?
He's the best player in the draft. And you're Ron Rivera. You've talked about getting a high-impact player at number 2. We'll get a 5-star player in Chase Young. This is a guy that has the size, the athleticism, the technical skills, the production that you want to see from a dominant player. When you have 16.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, it shows that you can be a disruptive force off the edge. I think it's a no-brainer for the Redskins to take Chase Young.
Yeah, look, if you need some nails, go to a hardware store. If you need a pass rusher, go to Ohio State. That's where you should do your shopping. And Chase Young is going to follow in the footsteps of the Bosa brothers and come into this league and dominate from day one. Put him on the opposite side of Montez Sweat, and you've got 2 big-time edge rushers for the next decade with Ron Rivera. I love this move for the Redskins getting Chase Young.
And DJ, I suppose your analogy could also include cornerbacks from Ohio State, where we thought just 1 pick after Chase Young, we might get Jeff Okudah, his team at Ohio State, the top corner in this draft, at 3 to the Detroit Lions. But Bucky, you instead opt to give them some help up front with Derek Brown, the talented D tackle from Auburn. Why'd you go there?
It's all about impact. Red, I had an old defensive coordinator tell me that the pass rush affects the coverage far more than the coverage affects the pass rush. Because of that, I'm going with Derek Brown. Derek Brown at the point of attack is a grown man, an unblockable force. His physicality, his toughness, his nonstop motor plays well in Detroit. He is a dominant playmaker at the point of attack. I think you have to pull the trigger on the defensive tackle if you're Matt Patricia.
Well, I think it's interesting because I compared him to Ndamukong Suh. So when you think about their games, very similar. Suh drafted by the Detroit Lions. Now you see Derek Brown follow in his footsteps. Not only does he dominate, but Buck, it's the effort to me, and that's what jumps off the screen. It's just how hard this kid plays, and I can see that being appreciated by Matt Patricia.
Yeah, no question about that. And guys, let's take a quick look back at Bucky Brooks' top 8 picks here. Again, we led off with Burrow at 1. The Giants made Tristan Wirfs, the tackle out of Iowa, the first offensive tackle off the board. He will not be the last. The Chargers, with maybe the most interesting pick here, deciding with Tua Tagovailoa available, they end up going with Isaiah Simmons.
In the backfield, Isaiah Simmons got him.
This is what makes Isaiah Simmons so good, is his range.
Simmons is all over the place in the early going. The All-American Butkus Award winner.
Well, look, this is a really interesting couple of picks here in your mock draft. You've got not 1 but 2 teams that are thinking about quarterbacks here, passing on Tua Tagovailoa. The Chargers at 6 with Tua available. Go with Simmons. Why was he the choice?
Yeah, I think this is all about building your team to win the AFC. And if you think about the last 2 MVPs, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Well, how do you defend both of those guys? More speed on the field. You already have Derwin James. Why not get a Derwin James clone to play beside him in Isaiah Simmons? You now are athletic, you're interchangeable, you're dynamic. I think Gus Bradley would have a lot of fun with Simmons and James on the field.
Yeah, Gus Bradley, I don't know if his picture would still be in the frame on Zoom after this pick because I think he might launch himself out of his chair. You wouldn't see his face anymore at Tom Telesco's house there in Newport Beach. But yeah, putting him together with Derwin James to combat Tyreek Hill and Kelsey and all the players you see in that division with the Kansas City Chiefs, I love that fit, but man, you'd have a hard time passing on Tua Tagovailoa at the quarterback position. That would be a tough one to sell.
Man, much more on Tua coming up here in just a little bit, but I also want to get now from the AFC West to the NFC West, where the Cardinals at the 8th spot make Jedrick Wills, the tackle out of Alabama, the 2nd tackle off the board. DJ, why does he fit with what Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray want to do there on offense?
Well, you start with the fact that he's the most polished offensive tackle in this draft class. He's ready to play right now. You also look at the fact he played right tackle at Alabama. That's where he would play with the Cardinals. They just re-signed DJ Humphries to man the left tackle position. So he starts day one as your right tackle, very athletic, can get out in space and some of the things they want to do in the screen game. But I think this draft, after they got the receiver with Hopkins, I think this draft's about protecting Kyler Murray. It'd be a great fit.
Everything that DJ talks about is why it makes sense. He's a right tackle. He's a natural right tackle. He's a plug-and-play player. He's a dancing bear, and it's all about the franchise quarterback. We've seen him add DeAndre Hopkins, make sure he's protected by building a fortress in front of him. That's why Jedrick Wills is the pick.
Kicking off Bucky Brooks's picks 9 through 16, the wait for Tua Tagovailoa finally comes to an end with the Jaguars taking him at number 9 overall. Also in the Sunshine State, the Buccaneers get some added protection for Tom Brady with Andrew Thomas, the tackle out of Georgia. But let's get right there to Tua Tagovailoa, Bucky, the Jags. What's that conversation like in the Jags war room if Tua's sitting there at number 9?
I think it should be an easy conversation. It should be an easy conversation because Tua Tagovailoa is a cultural fit, meaning hardworking, going to keep his mouth shut, great leadership skills, but more importantly, he's an A-plus player. He's an upgrade over what you currently have at quarterback. If you're Dave Caldwell and the Jaguars staff, you have to make this move because what it does is it upgrades the most important position on the field and it gives you an opportunity to win for the long term.
Yeah, I think you would go from Minshew mania to Tua time, I guess, if that's where it happened.
Sure.
I mean, if you were to get there at number 9, I think you have to think long and hard about turning in that card if you're Dave Caldwell. I like some of the things Minshew did last year, and I'm hopeful for what he can be. But when you look at Tua, I just think he's a more talented player. So that, to me, would be a fascinating decision they would have there if Tua were to fall in their lap at number 9.
Yeah, let's talk about a scenario here because the Jags are in this position because in Bucky's mock, the Dolphins decide to take Herbert over Tua at number 5, and then the Chargers didn't take a quarterback at all at 6, taking Isaiah Simmons. So if that were to happen, DJ, is there a team that might be likely to trade up somewhere in maybe in front of the Jaguars to go get Tua if the Chargers don't take him?
Well, I'm looking at Bucky here, and me and Bucky have been talking about this for a long time about who do you compare Tua to, and he said he's a left-handed Drew Brees. So why not the Saints and Sean Payton go up there to get the replacement for Drew Brees in the future? It would cost them a future one next year, which I think they'd be happy to get rid of in order to get a player of this caliber that fits what Sean Payton does. And then from the Jags standpoint, this would give them 3 ones in next year's draft class where there's a kid at Clemson who might be kind of interesting, a guy to have all that ammunition in case you wanted to move up and go get him. It's a little thinking for the future move for the Jags.
Look, I think it's a great move when you're talking about the New Orleans Saints and getting a quarterback, but I'm going to stand firm on the Jacksonville Jaguars moving up. If this is a situation where the LA Chargers bypass Tua Tagovailoa, maybe for medical concerns, I think if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you make this move because you haven't had a big-time quarterback. You're looking to close ground in a division that has some pretty good quarterbacks. I think this is an opportunity for you to gain ground on your division rivals and really put the franchise in good hands with a quarterback that is really, really talented.
So we've had 3 quarterbacks now come off the board. Let's get to some of the receivers here a little bit. You had CeeDee Lamb go to the Jets at number 11. And the Raiders, with their first pick is the Las Vegas Raiders, taking the second wide receiver, Bucky, and Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. What does he bring to this John Gruden-led offense?
Well, you got to remember, John Gruden is a former wide receiver coach. He did it in Green Bay with Sterling Sharp. So he is going to like a guy that is a polished route runner. He can give him a legitimate number 1 receiver that can play outside or inside in the slot. That versatility, the ability to create consistent separation is going to be attractive to John Gruden, given his pedigree tutoring wide receivers.
Yeah, this is a perfect fit. They need firepower on this offense. They've got to get more explosive. They've got to score more points. They can move the ball. They can't score. And I think Jerry Jeudy helps them get the ball in the paint.
Yeah, one of the most polished route runners for sure. So look, let's also get to another one of these interior defensive linemen. After seeing Derek Brown go off the board at number 3 to the Lions, you've got Bucky has Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina going to the 49ers with the pick that they acquired from the Colts after trading DeForest Buckner. So how do you like that replacement, DJ?
I like it. I mean, you get a similar player with similar type of upside with Javon Kinlaw, and you get a younger player and one that you're not going to have to pay that big money to until down the road. So I like it. I think they continue to invest in that defensive front. They could also look at wide receiver there if they want to get more dynamic or more explosive on offense. But you got to remember, they pick again at 31. So this would be an opportunity for them to just replenish that defensive line, the strength of their football team.
Yeah, I think it's all about building upon a strength. They've had success being able to really invest in the defensive front. So why not go again and get a replacement for DeForest Buckner? A younger, cheaper replacement that adds another first rounder to a defensive front that is loaded with first round picks.
Let's get to the next 8 picks here for Bucky Brooks. It's number 17 through 24, starting with their second edge rusher, K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU, going to the Cowboys there. His Tiger teammate, Patrick Queen, DJ's number 2 linebacker, off the board of the Raiders at number 19. And the Patriots pass up on a possible Tom Brady replacement, instead opting for Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama. But let's talk about the guy who lit the combine on fire with his 40 time, Henry Ruggs.
We're setting the stage for Henry Ruggs III there.
It looks like he's going to put up some good numbers.
He made that look easy. 4.28, can of corn.
Wow.
How fast you have to be that you would be disappointed with 4.28 and 4.31?
Very fast.
I think a team with a defensive head coach, Steve, a very good chance to value Ruggs as a top receiver in the draft because they don't want to play against a guy like that.
So we know the Eagles need some receiver help after watching them last year. They get it in the form of the speedster Henry Ruggs from Alabama with pick number 21. Bucky, Deshaun Jackson already on the roster there. Is it as simple because of the speed as D-Jax 2.0 here with Ruggs?
Absolutely. It's as simple as that. Deshaun Jackson will go down as one of the best big play weapons in all of NFL history. You now have an opportunity to get a young guy like Henry Ruggs that can watch from Deshaun Jackson and kind of implement some of those things into his play. This is a guy that is more than just a one-trick pony. He's terrific in the vertical game, but he's outstanding with the ball in his hands. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you need more speed and explosiveness on the field. You have to give Carson Wentz another playmaker.
And I like the fact this kid does not drop the football. I think that gets lost. People think, oh, he's a speed guy and he's track and this, that, and the other. No, this guy catches everything. He only dropped one ball this entire year. So not only is he going to be able to make those plays over the top, you're going to also be able to get plays after the catch. And teams are going to have to respect that speed. So that's what the Philadelphia Eagles have been after, and this would be a godsend for them at this point in the draft.
Yeah, no question. He's got the speed, but he's not a one-trick pony. I like that. And I like this next pick that we're going to talk about here. You might remember in our last mock draft with DJ, he had Jordan Love, the talented quarterback from Utah State, going to the Packers at number 30, behind Aaron Rodgers. Similar situation here for Love. Bucky, you've got him going, though, to the Saints. Chance to sit behind Drew Brees. The Saints taking Love with number 24.
You know, Red, it's a copycat league. You have to know that Sean Payton sat there and watched the Super Bowl and saw how Pat Mahomes was able to grow and really take the Kansas City Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Well, why not copy what Andy Reid was able to do? Take Jordan Love a year early. Let him watch behind Drew Brees. When Drew Brees calls it a career, Jordan Love is right there. And I know Taysom Hill is there, but Jordan Love gives them a young, dynamic player to build around. I think he gives them a decade plus of quality play.
And guys, I think every quarterback dreams of being the first pick, right? You want to be Troy Aikman.
Of course.
You want to be that guy that's going to be Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray. Forget that. If I'm Jordan Love, this is where I want to go. I don't want to be the number 1 pick. I want to go play for Sean Payton, learn and develop under him, and soak up as much knowledge from Drew Brees as I can get. That, to me, is the perfect spot for Jordan Love. He'd be elated if this was the way it ended up.
Yeah, truly could end up with a redshirt type of year there with Taysom Hill kind of coming in as needed as well to spell Drew Brees. A really interesting scenario there for Utah State's Jordan Love. With Bucky Brooks' final 8 picks of his mock draft 4.0, we get 4 wide receivers in the first round. The 4th off the board, Justin Jefferson out of LSU goes to the Minnesota Vikings at number 25. The San Francisco 49ers make it 2 Crimson Tide members of that secondary in 2019 to be first-round picks with Trevon Diggs going to the 49ers at 31. And we get 2 running backs off the board in these final 8 picks, starting with DeAndre Swift going to the Miami Dolphins with their 3rd first-round pick, Swift out of Georgia. Bucky, why did you like that fit?
Well, I like that pick because the Miami Dolphins need an elite runner. They haven't had a big-time running back since Ricky Williams was the feature back in Miami. It is time for them to get a feature runner and someone that can also impact the passing game. I think DeAndre Swift is the best running back in the class, and he can do it all.
Yeah, this warms my heart to see the running back go here because DeAndre Swift is worthy of a first-round pick, and he's a special player, but there just aren't a lot of teams with needs there. The Dolphins, however, are one of them. So I like this. I applaud this, Bucky. Let's give the running back a little love here.
Yeah, Swift, a top 20 player in your top 50, DJ. And the second running back off the board is not Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. Instead, it is Ohio State's J.K. Dobbins going to the Chiefs at number 32. Boy, the rich get richer there on offense, right, Buck?
Yeah, but I think if you go back and look at how the Kansas City Chiefs played a couple years ago with Kareem Hunt, they were still explosive, but they were a little more balanced. I think J.K. Dobbins would give them an upgrade of all the guys that are rotating in that back-by-committee situation.
Yeah, he can catch the ball, too. I know people look at that Clemson game. He dropped a couple balls there in that playoff game, but you watch him on the whole. He catches it really well. He's excellent in pass protection, which you better be able to do if you're playing in this offense with Patrick Mahomes. I think Andy Reid would have a lot of fun with Dobbins.
All right, so the first 32 picks of night one in the books here with Bucky Brooks' mock draft 4.0. Now let's get a look at some guys who we could find as sleepers on day two, Bucky. Who do you got there?
Hey, the first one is a kid from Missouri that I absolutely like as a dominant interior player, Jordan Elliott. When you look at Jordan Elliott, you like the movement skills, you like the hand skills, the pass rush ability. He flashes. He's a bit of a boom or bust prospect, but I think you're going to hit on the come. This is a guy that is absolutely terrific, very, very intriguing. The second guy, Cam Akers, the running back from Florida State. When you're looking at running backs in today's game, they have to impact the game as a runner, but also as a receiver. We have seen Cam Akers have that kind of ability. He did it at Florida State. I expect him to do it in the National Football League. And then small school standout, Cal Duggar from Lenoir-Rhyne. This is a guy that has a lot of potential. Nice size, has the ability to come down and play in the box, can play the deep middle, but also has added value as a returner. He's fantastic. Day two, he's a guy that can come in and start maybe by the middle of the first season.
Kind of similar prospect in similar fashion, we could see Jeremy Chin, the safety out of Southern Illinois, come off the board on day two as well. As we recap Bucky's mock draft 4.0 here. Kind of went chalk with the first two picks, if you will. Joe Burrow, Chase Young going 1-2 to the Bengals, then Redskins. Bit of a surprise at 3. Lions opt to go with Derek Brown instead of the top corner on the board in Jeffrey Okudah. No Tua Tagovailoa in the top 8. He ends up going to the Jaguars at number 9. And we get our third and fourth tackles off the board at number 10 with Becton to the Browns and 14 with Thomas to the Bucks. Second edge rusher comes off the board at number 17 with LSU's K'Lavon Chaisson going to the Cowboys. His teammate Patrick Queen goes 2 spots later with the Raiders' second first-round draft pick after they took Judy at number 12 overall. We get the fourth wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, at number 25 to the Minnesota Vikings. Marlon Davidson's selection at number 29 makes it 4 edge rushers come off the board in the previous 14 picks. So that puts a bow on mock 4.0 for Bucky Brooks. But before we get out of here, Bucky, how about a bold prediction for the 2020 NFL Draft?
Only 3 wide receivers will go in the first round. I know we talk about how deep and talented the class is, but when you look at the value, supply and demand, go and wait to the second round or even the third round. You may get an A.J. Brown, a Deebo Samuel, or maybe even a Terry McLaurin. Take your time, be patient. Don't need to waste a first-round pick on a wide receiver.
So 3 first-round wide receivers, and then we get 30 in the next 2 to 3 days here, as this is such a deep class. Can't wait to get it rolling. Can't wait to bring you a special Draft Week edition of Mock Draft Live. That comes to you on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be watching. Look forward to it, guys.